It is the anniversary of the flu game today, gentlemen.
Ooh, okay.
The one and only. June 11th, 1997. Holy shit, that makes me feel old because I remember watching that game. And I was like, man, I'm so stoked. Summer's here. Bulls are in the NBA Finals once again. Just a kid.
Yeah.
I went back and just watched that little clip of all of MJ and his entourage, Tim Grover, and some of his other buddies from The Last Dance doc talking about it. Just a wild piece of Bulls history.
Incredibly wild piece of history, and I like it because it's something that we all saw and we all can actually discuss on this one. But it's one of my favorite Bulls memories because of where I was when it happened and where I was. And I've told this before. I was at the United Center when this happened. That was when they would open up the UC.
For road games.
Yes, for road games and sell tickets. Now, for somebody like me who couldn't afford to go to those kind of games, the playoff games or just Bulls games in general, that was a huge deal. And when we got there, shout out to my mother and my friend who came with me. But when we got there, they did it exactly like it was a Bulls home game. So the introductions were on. Ray Clay was doing the, announcing and the openings and everything. So I got to see that live, and it really felt like they were there, watching the game. Level Bulls were there. So they got it on the Jumbotron. So how everybody's reaction to when Mike hit that three,
man,
how I equated with euphoria.
Yeah.
More so than anybody else because it was a road game. Wasn't that much hype and stuff, but in the stadium.
People in the
blew the roof off of that joint.
Different vibe in the Jazz Stadium when he hit that three.
Man. And then the music, and that came on. Oh, I was ready to run through a wall. It was amazing.
I think it just speaks to this lore and this legacy of Jordan just being like this untouchable thing because he's got all these stories like this.
Right.
Where it's
this time of year, every other day, you're like, oh, it's the anniversary of this, that,
and so also true. He's like the flu, just like the idea of the pizza poisoning thing. It's just like there's so much of this lore that makes Michael so untouchable. Yeah, and I think this game more than maybe any other one kind of speaks to that.
Shout out to our friend Reed Jack. Got a shout out yesterday too for his Chet Walker stuff over the weekend, but he responded to something I tweeted from our team account about the flu game today, and I had forgotten this, but he tracked down the guy who used to be a manager or worked in the kitchen of that crappy pizza joint in Salt Lake City.
I remember this.
And interviewed him about it, and his different theory was, no, it wasn't food poisoning. It's like climate change sickness.
Okay.
I didn't even think he was referring to altitude, but he was like, yeah, in this city in Utah, you can get 30-degree temperature drops within an hour. And MJ was just probably sitting in his own hotel room smoking a stogie with the window open and got sick from the weather. And I was like, that sounds like an excuse from a very guilty person.
Listen, man, that reaction of how Mike looked when they're talking about he had a temperature of 102 and getting an IV pumped in you doesn't sound like weather-related stuff. You know what I mean? That's just me, but I never seen him like that before. Just on the verge of always collapsing every time he went to the bench, man. I never seen that before. But Will's right, just that will, pun intended, to pull himself through in that fourth quarter and carry that team. He had 38, to carry that team to a victory that they needed. It was just amazing to watch. Like you said, it just adds to the lore and the legacy of the Ghost.
He's just untouchable. 6-0 in the finals, all these moments like this where it's he just overcame some incredibly improbable setback.
Right.
So regardless of whether in 10 years or 20 years or whatever, people are talking about LeBron as being the GOAT, without question, because of the era that he played in compared to Michael, when there wasn't social media, when he did play in a league where he dominated for 10, 12 years. It's just, he just has this extra piece of legacy that I just don't think LeBron will ever be able to touch, even if he's got more career points and assists and rebounds and games played and all that stuff.
That's nice.
There's this element and aura about Michael. And I think, like I said, this is the game where maybe more than any other else, it speaks to that. And it's just what makes him special.
Yeah, greatness is about those moments.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not about the triple doubles you had, which are great, you know, and those points and things, people are gonna really remember those moments. So like even with LeBron, you immediately think of that block. You know what I mean? That's the moment. You know what I mean? He had that block that was incredible. You know what I mean? To help seal that victory after Kyrie hit the three.
Not that impressive.
After that block. After that block, man. But it was an incredible moment. But
Andre Iguodala, come on.
He needs. That's how you talk about greats. You know what I mean? Is those moments when you forget the stats and think Magic skyhook.
Right.
You know what I mean? In game 2, the bird steal on Isaiah Thomas. Like, it's about those moments. You know what I'm saying? And nobody had more of those kind of moments on the bigger stage, the biggest stage out there than Michael Jordan.
Which is
LeBron
why
does have those moments. I mean, like that series coming back from down 3-1 against 73-1 Warriors, the block, all that stuff. Like, but that to me is like his one moment like
That's
that.
the one. Yeah.
With the
and
Heat,
before that, it was like Cavs, Orlando,
the Cavs,
the buzzer beater
against the Mavericks. Like, you won in the bubble in 2020, which a lot of people still like discredit.
Never happened.
Against a team that was missing some of its best players. Like, Michael has so many of those moments.
Yeah.
And it was every single time. And
Every
it was a
single
perfect,
time.
I mean,
clean slate.
flu game, 44 minutes, 17 seconds played.
Yeah.
38 points on 13 of 27. Even hit 2 of 5 from 3, 10 of 12 from the free throw line, 7 boards, 5 dimes, 3 steals, and a block. You talk about how many moments he has. Real quick before we go to break, where is the flu game for you in the ranking of MJ playoff performances?
Ooh,
It's tough.
Oh, wow.
Because you got game 6 in 98.
Yeah.
You drag that team, that scrubbed, washed-ass team, to a win.
I think it's number 2 behind game 6 for that reason, because that I watched one man win an entire NBA Finals in one game by itself.
Is it above the shot against the Cavs? The OG, the shot? Is it above Boston 63?
It's probably above the
Not
Boston
finals.
63.
Neither of those were the finals.
Yeah, neither of those were the
and
finals.
the Bulls, I mean, like, no fault of MJ, but the Bulls lost that game, and it was a first-round series.
Right, and Cleveland started the legacy, you know what I'm saying, of Mike. But it's the fact that what he did in that game 6 won the title.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, what he did. But that game 5 definitely, the flu game is definitely a top 3, top 2 thing.
I feel like it has to be.
Also, there's like 6 different games against the Knicks in the playoffs that you could throw into that category.
You talk about the move he did, you know what I'm saying?
Game 2 against LA.
You can talk about
game 1 against, in 92 against Portland.
But
like, again,
his
playoff resume is dumb.
So amazing.
The finals matter. Like Donovan Mitchell said this earlier on in the season, maybe before the playoffs started. Like, his legacy is not going to be based on whether they make the playoffs or the play-in. It's about finals, conference finals, and championships.
Yeah.
Like, that stuff matters. I know it's like fun to say, you know, you just want to be competitive and all that, but like winning championships does matter. I feel like a lot of times because of where the Bulls are, it's like easy to kind of move the goalposts a little bit. But like, that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about the Chicago Bulls.
Winning.
NBA Finals, championship.
We all silly like the mayor.